when y'all listen to the old, when you go back and listen, well, first of all, do you go back and listen?
Not often.
Not often. Okay.
No, well, not for me.
Occasionally. Not, and for me, not while we're creating.
Definitely
Okay.
not while I'm creating.
Okay.
But even in my leisure, I don't much go. I don't look at old pictures, so I don't really listen to
Why not?
old music. I
Old
don't know.
pictures are good.
I don't never really focus on what it used to be.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
only trying to progress. I was there. I remember it.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to build something for for the future.
Okay.
And I don't know. I guess that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to that.
Now, they say, well, I have a philosophy that you can become depressed looking back. Like you could be like, man, it was so good back then. I mean, man, I wish it was
Well,
like
see,
that.
I grew up in a family with a lot of with alcoholics and addicts,
Mm,
and I'm a person that I guess I overanalyze
mm-hmm.
people or in situations. So growing up, they used to tell us, they get lit and tell you the same story you've been hearing for 30 years. So at some point, I started like piecing together these stories, like your version of it, your brother's version, your mama version, and I started making whole stories.
Yeah.
And what I gathered collectively is that it's not that they telling you the same story because they got no more stories. They telling you their glory years,
Mm,
and in most cases, once you reach a certain age, the glory years are over.
mm-hmm.
So for me, that's how I live. I live like my glory days are ahead of me.
Right.
So I ain't really focused on what happened. We speak on it. I'm I might I won't say reminisce. I might recollect, but I never get stuck in what used to be. Maybe when I think about people that didn't survive this long.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really, I don't backtrack. I don't do my personal montages. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, I get it. I know where I came from. I never forget that. But I know where I want to go,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I think what Jelly Roll said your windshield is bigger than your rearview mirror for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I live. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what's ahead of me, not so much what's behind me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of deep. I think it's value both ways to having tunnel vision or facing forward. I also think there's a lot of lessons. As I say, learning from mistakes, learning from experience, and
Mm-hmm.
otherwise. But it can go either way because I'm definitely equally familiar with people being stuck in
Mm-hmm.
certain places, and I
Hmm.
think that could lead to what you were saying about the depression part of it, or it's depressing. I've seen it in certain regards. I've like my dad had a brain injury, had a closed head trauma, and for large parts of my childhood, he would talk about the same time period, and I heard the same stories, and I realized that he was kind of stuck there,
Yeah.
maybe on account of his injury. But I've also heard and saw something about artists that a lot of times wherever they peak or first see success,
Mm-hmm.
they end up stuck there,
Yeah. Mm.
artistically.
Right.
And so even I've seen it with some of my favorite artists where they're trying to make that record that they
Recreating
broke through
magic.
Hmm.
from. And I can remember hearing that, and as an artist I had a record, I had a Grey Goose a club record, and I signed a deal and otherwise, and it was like that's what they wanted over and over. And early on, I'm like, that ain't me. That's not
Mm-hmm.
the end all be all.
Right.
Same thing. I'm sure he was encouraged to make letter to my son, well, make letter to your daughter, make a letter to your
Yeah.
dog, and whatever,
Uh-huh.
because this is the business of music.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it worked, so it'll work again. But for sure, I've seen artists stuck there, and you in that same man. This ain't 99 no more. This ain't 2000 whatever no more.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so I think that's probably why we don't revisit the music in real time while we're creating, because I ain't trying to make that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like, even as we finished this project, as we were rapping, I went back and compared to the other projects, just almost just taking inventory, like where do I rank this one, or how do I feel about this one versus this one. but because it was done. If I
Right.
did that in real time, I think it would have taken away from what we were creating.
Yeah.
You know, and but I think that's a real thing, because when you do that, if too much reflection, you're
Yeah.
gonna compare, you're gonna size it up, and if it's like, man, we was doing numbers at this time, it's like now you weighing that against that,
Yeah.
and what you're doing now can feel like a failure. But if, like, if this the best that you doing your best right now, you gotta ride the wave of that, and you know what I'm saying, and try to keep going up, and maybe you'll supersede where you were. But as long as you're looking back, it's like, man, like you said, you're gonna run into something. You know, like
Right.
for the sake of that analogy.